For years, the Chinese Communist Party has been slowly building its global influence. Just last week, the United States issued its national security strategy saying that China is the only U.S. competitor, quote, with both the intent to reshape the international order and increasingly has the economic, diplomatic, military, and technological power to do it. Whether it be through education, espionage, or investment, China and its CCP leadership has taken advantage of an unassuming United States gaining unprecedented influence and a foothold here in America. How has China done this? Through a strategy called Deceiving the Sky Heavens to Cross the Sea. It's an ancient military strategy dedicated to deception, justifying domination by any means necessary, masking their goals and hiding their movements and plans. China does not hope to gain control or total power overnight. Communist China is playing the long game. It's waiting us out, hoping we make a mistake, hoping we are lulled into indifference or distraction. This week, we will show you several areas in which China and the CCP have gained influence in our country and how a secret war is being waged. This weekend, Chinese President Xi Jinping is sending a veiled shot at the United States and any nation trying to blunt China's growth. Speaking this weekend at China's National Congress of the Communist Party, President Xi saying, quote, China's international influence, appeal, and power to shape the world has significantly increased. Xi also said China has, quote, kept ourselves well positioned for pursuing development and ensuring security. He continued saying that Chinese modernization offers humanity a new choice for achieving modernization. Senior Fellow and Director of Chinese Strategy at the Hudson Institute, Michael Pillsbury, joins me. Good evening, sir. And am I overstating China's intent?
No, you're not. And you're focusing, I think, very accurately on their use of deception. They are not openly saying harsh things about America. In fact, this 2-hour speech Xi Jinping gave is really focusing on the threat to China from America and how the Communist Party is needed to maintain its control in China to protect the Chinese people against the evil Americans. So it's a two-part strategy. Part of it's focused on the Chinese people at home, saying the Americans are coming to get you, and especially choke off your economic growth. And the other part of it is trying to avoid, so far successfully, any kind of Pearl Harbor attack or any kind of Sputnik moment, we used to call it in the 50s, so that the powerful pro-China lobby in Washington is still powerful and still pretty much in charge. That's the cleverness of Xi Jinping's speech yesterday, I thought.
You know, when you talk about China, we're really talking about the Communist Party, the leadership. And it's like, I oftentimes make the mistake of saying China, meaning but we're talking about the Communist Party and not the Chinese people themselves. In addressing this, is the United States just waking up, or has it been asleep at the wheel, or how pervasive is it? I mean, just the mere fact that so much fentanyl is pouring into this country and killing from China through Mexico, the numbers are staggering. But, have we been asleep at the wheel?
Yes, there have been some hawks over the last 25 years that have pointed to the threat from Communist China. They particularly focused on the hawks versus doves inside the Communist Party in China. And many people hope that the doves, the moderates, the reformers, would win out. This speech yesterday and Xi's elevation shows that the reformers have totally lost. But I would say the hawks remain in a minority, both in Congress, especially in the executive branch. The desire to help China, to invest in China, to trade more with China, that's the direction our country is going in, unless there's really a jolt, like your series this week could show, Greta, that we've been deceived. But I'm not optimistic. There's still a very, very strong China lobby in Washington, D.C.
It's amazing, though, that how vulnerable we are. We don't even realize it in the sense of even things like medicine. If you want to get heart medicine, a lot of the generics come from China. Well, if they decide to cut that off, that certainly would affect the supply chain for people who need heart medicine. Even the dye for the CT scan, a tremendous amount of it is made in China. If you want to get a CT scan, and you might need one, is that if they decide to put their foot on just a supply chain, so there's so many different ways that we're so vulnerable to them.
I think that's right. And I think your series, from what I've seen so far, you're going to look into each phase of this Chinese competition or the Chinese threat to America. The problem is that each sector is by itself. So you get some people mentioning medical equipment or our reliance for pharmaceuticals on China. But that doesn't necessarily affect the military and the effort for many years to say we need more aircraft carriers in the Pacific. We need to defend our assets in space more robustly against the Chinese threat to attack our satellites. Each of these sectors has not resulted in a broad coalition being formed by the president or in Congress. And I'll give you one quick example, Greta. There's a quite good piece of legislation called the Taiwan Policy Act that passed the Senate Foreign Relations Committee a couple of weeks ago. In the House, Nancy Pelosi opposes it. She's apparently ordered the Democrats not to support it. So only 36 Republican House members have come out and introduced it last week. You would think this would be something that you'd have a unanimous view in the House of Representatives, defend Taiwan, take Taiwan more seriously. It just doesn't have the votes. And we see this across the board, that individual threats from China can be finessed by the pro-China lobby, which always has an explanation. Often it's these words, Greta: don't treat China as an enemy because then they'll turn into an enemy. But there's this long list of excuses that I think is still in charge in Washington.
Well, we're taking a look at everything. Even this past weekend, we were in North Dakota, where the Chinese have bought some land and want to create a mill, and it's near an Air Force base, and there's a lot of controversy surrounding that. And so we're going to take the viewers there essentially tomorrow night. But you know, there's a lot going on: military, technology, medical, drugs. I mean, you just can't stop it. Michael Pillsbury, though, thank you for joining me, and I do hope you'll watch our series all week long, sir.
I will. Thank you, Greta.